What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today I'm going to answer a question I get on a fairly regular basis in my Instagram inbox or in YouTube comments or direct messages or emails, and that is, hey Carrie, you post a lot about journaling. How do I get into that? And the answer is, well, you just do it. You just have to do it. But there are 5 things that I have found that I've been doing that really make the experience more enjoyable. So I've been journaling on a regular basis, few months here and there, maybe I've missed out, since about 2013. It's now 2019, so I've been doing it for a while. And these are the 5 sort of habits, I should say, that I've formed over time. And the first one, speaking of time, is make a time commitment. So how often do you want to journal? When do you want to journal? Is it something that you want to do first thing when you get out of bed? Is it something you want to do before you go to bed? Do you want to write for 20 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour? Kind of think about these things before you jump into it. So what works best for me usually is to do it in the morning, either while I'm having breakfast or after breakfast. And I typically will spend about 30 minutes. On days when I don't go to work, then I usually make it a little bit longer of a process. So I will make my coffee or tea, whatever I decide to have in the day, get my breakfast, and then sit down and journal then. And that usually is about an hour. They're usually longer journal sessions, but I really enjoy that time. It is my personal time. It's the time where I can reflect over things that I've enjoyed doing, not enjoyed doing, I can use that time to work out problems that are really bothering me. And sometimes when I'm writing something, I don't even know where I'm going with it necessarily, which I'll come back to. But I just need that time for me to figure out what's going on in the brain, because sometimes things go on. But make a time commitment. Maybe start with 10 minutes. If you sit down and you're struggling what to write with or anything like that, sitting down for 10 minutes versus sitting down for 60 minutes is a lot better. So make a time commitment. Even if you only want to start maybe once a week, maybe every Sunday morning with your cup of coffee or something like that. Just pick a time and try and stick to that, because eventually it'll become habit, and then you can sort of play around with that time and kind of have more wiggle room, so that you're still going to stick to it, but you're not necessarily on a schedule anymore. And that is what has worked for me. Another thing that's really made the experience more enjoyable is have so much fun with different pen and ink combinations. So if any of you have been watching me for a while now, you know that I change my inks all the time. So I am a huge supporter of ink samples. If you've watched, my 2019 ink collection, you'll still see that I have a fair amount of ink bottles. But for the most part, I use samples. And that's because I usually only have 1 to maybe 3 converter fills of the same color before I change it. And to go to 3 or 4 converters, even then that's pretty rare. It's usually after 1 converter, I'm ready for a different color. So have fun with different pens you use, have fun with different inks you use, experiment with different colors you think you'd never use, because then that'll make that journal session more exciting. And you'll really be able to see what you prefer as far as colors go. I tend to be more on the darker hues for journaling that I found, more saturated colors. I don't particularly like lighter colors. I don't mind playing around with them just for funsies later, but when it comes to a proper journal session, I like a color that's easily read. And that kind of plays into my third point, which is also experiment with notebooks. So Maybe for your first notebook that you buy to journal, don't get one that has like 800 pages in it, that's this big, that you're gonna be with for, you know, the rest of your life kind of thing. Get ones that are smaller. Get ones that only have maybe 100 pages or something like that, so that you can try out different notebooks and see what you like. I've gone through Rhodia, I've gone through Leuchtturm, I've gone through Clairefontaine, I've had a no-name one that I don't even remember where I got it from. That was actually my first one. I think it was a Moleskine notebook, but don't immediately bash me, because for the most part it actually handled the ink pretty darn well. I did stay more towards the finer size nibs for that, but it actually handled pretty well. What else have I used? I've used a good amount. I'm on my 8th journal. So I'm pretty experienced in that regard. I've used 2 Rhodia notebooks, and I'm on my 2nd Leuchtturm notebook as well. So you will eventually find what you like, but you don't have to stick to that. That's the great thing. When you're done one notebook, you can get something completely different. So I just started this Leuchtturm, so I'm gonna be on this for probably a year, because it's a beefier one. The lines are really, really thin, so you can fit a ton of stuff in one page versus like a Rhodia notebook or a Clairefontaine notebook, where the lines are much thicker. Like the line widths are much bigger, so you can fit a ton more content in that line, but you don't have as much room on the page. So what you could write in 2 pages on a Leuchtturm or Rhodia, you could write in 1 page on, or no, Clairefontaine or Rhodia, sorry, you could write on 1 page in Leuchtturm. Check out the video that I just did on my top 5 fountain pen friendly notebooks, and you'll kind of see I talk about the journals that I've used there. And between pen, ink, and notebook, your options are limitless for what you can do to make your journal experience beauty. And that's the fun of fountain pen writing anyways, right? It's a combination of all of those 3 things. So I think those are beautiful. And then my 4th thing that I find helps me isn't actually anything to do necessarily with the pen, ink, or journal. It's make it cozy. So get a coffee, get a tea, have breakfast, have like snacks or something like that. You know, if you have those things, it helps make it seem like you're really taking that personal time. So there's just something to me about, you know, either sitting on the couch, depending on how long I'm gonna journal for. If you're gonna journal for more than like 20 minutes, don't really sit on a couch. Sit at a table, you know, proper posture and all that good stuff. But there's just something about having a hot cup of coffee, a hot cup of tea, or sometimes my breakfast, and being able to just slowly consume those things while you're journaling. It just gives you that cozy feeling. It sucks you in a little bit deeper. You know, it's why when you watch a movie, the concession stand is always there. It's an additive to that experience, and it's one that really makes a difference for me. I find that if I have a coffee or a tea, then I usually will journal for longer than if I didn't. Because typically speaking, I will continue to journal until the beverage is done. And then lastly is sort of a combination of all of the top 4 tips, and that's find your style. So when I journal, it is just a onto the page. It is a brain dump. Typically, I'll have 1, maybe 2 things that I want to talk about in particular, but I don't have a specific, like, you know, bullet points, for example. And if you bullet point, that's beautiful too. Everyone has their own style, but for me, I just free write everything. Like I said, I start maybe with a topic, like if I had a bad day at work and I want to figure out why it was bad. Was it my attitude? Was it just that things were going wrong? Was it that I lost my composure? Is it my ability to deal with ambiguity? Like all of these things that I want to talk about and kind of understand. I can think, okay, I want to talk about my experience at work that day. So I'll just start writing and then see where it goes. Sometimes I'm surprised where it ends up going. And a lot of the times it really does help me work through a problem. So that works for me, is literally just coming up with one idea of what I want to start with and then just letting my brain go. I'll literally say, today at work or yesterday at work, this happened. And as I start to write about it, my mind just literally dumps, and it's just like all onto the paper. That doesn't work for everybody. Some people, you might want to bullet journal, or you might want to just bullet point some thoughts. You might want to use photos. So you could use little Instax Polaroid type things, or you could print something out off your printer, just have a random copy of something, or you could have a proper photo. Do whatever you want to make that journal session yours. So eventually, as you continue going, as you make that time commitment, as you start to experiment with pens, inks, and paper to get you excited about journaling, as you get cozy, you get more comfortable, you get more familiar, about journaling, eventually you'll find your style. You'll find what works for you. And then when you go back, and you don't have to go back and read your old entries, but about once or twice a year, I do that. I'll pick a random book and I'll just read, not necessarily cover to cover. I have done that once before though. And a lot of the times I just laugh at myself. I'm like, I can't believe that was your problem and you couldn't figure out how to solve it. Because hindsight's always 20/20, and you always think that your younger self is ridiculous. So, but that's the whole point. You have those memories, and it's not even about memories necessarily for me. It's just being able to work through some problems. So those are really my 5 tips for journaling. It's make a time commitment, have fun with pen and ink combos, experiment with journals, make it cozy. So make your environment conducive to that journal session. So coffee, tea, snacks, whatever. And then find your style. Maybe if you're just beginning and you've never really journaled before, when you make that time commitment, maybe once, like I said, 20 minutes every Sunday or something like that, maybe week 1, you try just like what I do, a brain dump. Week 2, you try bulleting, or week 3, you try, only talking about one topic or something. You just try something, because eventually you'll find your style and you'll see what works for you. And at the end of the day, that is all that matters, is that it has to work for you, because if it doesn't, you're not going to do it. You're not going to get the enjoyment out of it, and you're not going to get any benefit out of it. Even if it's not necessarily writing, some people find videos maybe even a little bit more conducive. Make your journal a video entry. You don't have to publish it to anyone. You can just keep it on your computer forever. It doesn't matter, just to do something to get it out. And that is, really cool, I think. So let me know. Do you currently journal? Do you wish you could journal more? Have you never journaled in your life? I will say I had a negative connotation on journaling for a little while when I was younger. I thought only losers journaled. I thought writing was a waste of time, which is hilarious because I am a writer now. But it's just, don't have any expectations, don't have any, preconceived notions. Just go into it with an open mind and an open heart, and I think you'll be all right. My cat is calling me. So guys, I'm gonna end it here. Hit that like button if you liked it. Hit the subscribe button if you really liked it too. Follow me on Instagram, which is just pens and tea. And guys, as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.